Okay, everybody. So, this is going to be a little different of a Kenshi video. I know most people expect something that's fairly scripted, fairly written out before we actually get into anything. But in an effort to increase watch time and make longer videos, I thought I might start doing something that's more close to just a regular playthrough and record that, sort of heavily edit it to where because Kenshi is such a slow paced game, kind of edit out the parts where nothing's happening, and and just do a generally more free flowing, less formal Kenshi video. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna create a character, and I'm just doing a wanderer start, and we're just gonna sort of play through the map. I'm probably not going to do a lot of base building in this series because I want it to sort of fit in with my sort of lore driven videos. And so I'd really like to sort of focus on map exploration and really try and get to, and this might be a little too ambitious, but really try and get to every sort of location and bandit group in the game, to focus the series on the lore of Kenshi as much as possible. And so the reason why there probably won't be any base building in this is because that kind of detracts from that. You're not really talking about lore if you're just sitting around and growing chew sticks for your group. Although I think a lot of times base building tutorials can get a lot of views on YouTube, and certainly I want this series to do well view-wise. So maybe we'll do a little bit of that, but it's probably not going to be the focus. The rules of this series will be that it is as Iron Man as I possibly can make it. I want to have all of the consequences be as sorry, I'm at a loss for exactly the right word, but to be as consequential as they possibly can be, because I feel like that would make the best drama and the best story. So if we lose a limb, if we lose a party member, I'm gonna try and be rigid about that. So I've turned my autosave down to the maximum that I possibly can, to sort of prevent me from save scumming, because I do have a bad habit of save scumming. So right here we're in the hub, and we're trying to get this bandit group to kind of run into the ninja guards of the hub, so we can sort of get our very first bit of combat training, and our very first bit of loot. I figure we'll also try and be as RP heavy as we can in this. That was a pretty good hit there. I named my character AJ just because it strikes me as a little bit egotistical to just be naming the character after myself, but I couldn't think of anything better to do. So I did that. If you guys write down in the comments that you want a character named after yourself, feel free to do that. I've recorded a lot of these, so it might take me a while before I actually do that, but I'd be really perfectly willing to include you guys and make you feel like you're part of this series as well. I think in this fight, I actually don't get knocked out by taking physical damage to any of my vitals, which is good because I probably didn't have the toughness to get back up from that. So it was kind of nice that they just hit me in the leg until I was crippled. And I think I'm gonna cut out a lot of this looting because my left leg is so damaged, and it does make this a little slow pace. So if you notice a jump cut here, I'm just gonna loot up some of these bandits and go and get our first set of cats here. Oh, hobble on in there, AJ. You got this, buddy. So, like I said, I got a little sidetracked with the bandit fight. I think we're going to do as much RP as we possibly can, and we're going to try and get as many of the unique recruits as we can as well. Because they provide the best dialogue, and also I feel like because we're trying to focus on lore as well, some of the really fun things about the Kenshi lore is the sort of original characters and sort of the cast that it has. I personally, and it might seem like sacrilege to say this, I obviously like Beep, but I also have a fondness for Infinite Wing Wang and Crumble John as well. So I think we'll definitely be heading up to Mongrel at a certain point because I like all those characters. I think they're some of the best ones in the game. And I know someone's gonna disagree with me on that. Somebody's gonna have another favorite, and I'm sorry if I just insulted your favorite character. That wasn't exactly my intention. I have a couple of mods installed on this. I have compressed textures to help the game run a little smoother, just because I think obviously with making a video series on this, no one wants to sit here and watch my computer sort of stutter and try and load the game. So right now we're leaving the hub, and I suppose the RP reason for that is that we heard tell of a abandoned Holy Nation outpost where we might be able to scavenge some loot from. So we've been out in the border zone. If, I know a lot of you are probably already Kenshi players and already Kenshi fans, so you'll know what the border zone is. Outside of the lore, it's sort of a tutorial area. It has the softest bandit factions in the game. It has roaming tech hunters, which you might get lucky and might heal you if you get knocked out. And it also has slave mongers, which can also be kind of helpful in the early game, because it can often, if you do get knocked out and you're in need of rescue, sometimes the slave hunters might just bandage you up in order to sell you off. And while that's not ideal, it's probably better than dying in a lot of ways. So it's quite a forgiving area. Now, in the lore, you basically have these two factions. You have the Holy Nation, which is made up of humans who basically are adherents of a very sort of dogmatic religion, based around the god Okran and his earthly incarnation, that they call the Holy Phoenix. And then there's another faction called the Shek Kingdom, which is it is much more of a nationality based nation. It is a nation of the race known as the Shek, which, if you're not familiar, are basically these genetically modified humans that are that were modified by a group of robots to basically be bigger, stronger humans, so that they could serve as a warrior class for their robot masters. Kind of a grim dystopian bit of lore. But anyway, so these two factions used to be at war with each other perpetually, and that ultimately became a problem for the Shek because they simply didn't have the numbers or the resources to continue fighting the Holy Nation, despite being bigger and tougher than most humans. They weren't as numerous. So I've made it to this Tech Hunter way station, and I managed to sell off that first round of loot we got from that abandoned Holy Nation outpost. The Holy Nation has largely abandoned the area because now that they're not at war with the Shek, they've largely moved their forces north to fight against the United Cities in Bast. So I spent a little bit of time in this Tech Hunter way station trying to just check and see if there wasn't a character available for 2,500 cats, which is the number of cats we have right now. I knew it was probably going to be a long shot, but I wanted just one more character just to be around in case I got knocked out, and I could send someone on a sort of heal and rescue mission, but I wasn't quite able to do that. So I got myself a scavenging backpack because these backpacks are really cheap, and we're gonna head up to another abandoned outpost, and we're gonna get a little bit of more loot off that and hopefully get our first recruit. So I've got this backpack. I'm ready to go scavenge some more things off of this tiny village. Right now we're still not really good in any sort of fight, so we're probably going to have to try and run from those. But yeah, we'll see that when we get there. I think we take a moment because there's a little bit of chatter going on at the pub. It's some dialogue I've heard so many times to the point where I'm almost kind of sick of it, and it's the dialogue between people who are debating how the hivers actually build their hives. And if you haven't seen it, basically what it sort of tells you is that it's a lot like paper wasps, where they'll essentially ingest clay and spit it back out, and they sort of build their homes from dirt and gut fluids, which is an interesting bit of lore for sure. But I've seen that piece of dialogue so many times. Every time I see it now, I'm like, yeah, he got drunk and he barfed up and built a house. I get it. So we're approaching that other tiny settlement, just passing some nomads on the way. I'll try and get up this this hill, and in this settlement there are a couple nice pieces of loot. It's got a fairly good topper, which can be a really nice weapon for early game. I know a lot of people really like toppers. They don't give you an actual combat bonus like most katanas do, but they don't have the penalty against armor or against skeletons that most katanas have. And so I know there are people out there that sort of swear by it. The other nice thing, if you guys know where this tiny settlement is, it's essentially a settlement that was abandoned, probably by the Holy Nation, and they sort of left out all this building material. The best things to scavenge from here, apart from the weapons, obviously, which are always going to be the most valuable thing, is there are some fuel containers, some gears, and some tools. Those are going to be your highest value items to find here, followed by just a bunch of iron plates. The lowest value items are going to be the raw stone building material, and so I tend to pretty much just ignore those altogether because they're heavy and they aren't worth much, and so I'm just gonna skip over them to try and get some more high value items back to the way station. Try and think about what else there is sort of say. I'm still grabbing some fuel containers. So this channel has sort of changed a lot from my sort of usual vision, or my original vision of it. I originally sort of started this channel as an outlet for some of my creative writing, and I ended up, in order to be able to promote it, because no one knows who I am and is searching for AJ Bordzia's original short stories. I ended up doing some commentary on some of my favorite works of fiction, and I sort of stumbled across the idea of doing commentary on the sort of more narrative fiction parts of Kenshi, and that was instantly the most popular and most successful thing on my channel. And so I know a lot of you are here for Kenshi content, and some of you are not. Some of you are here for just the other random stuff I do. And so if this video isn't exactly what you were expecting from the channel, I totally get that. Feel free to skip it. You won't hurt my feelings. I don't have any. But anyway, so hopefully, this also sort of strikes your fancy. I'm trying to do something a little more along the lines of Atomic Shrimp. If you're at all familiar with that YouTube channel, I know a lot of the sort of the conventional wisdom is that you don't want to have a huge amount of diverse content because it will scare people off who are coming to your channel for one thing. I'm gonna hire Scratch here to be a sort of rescue guy now that I finally have the money for it. So I'm going to give him our backpack, and I'm going to give him the topper as well, just because it's probably the nicest weapon we have right now, and I'd kind of like him to be a sort of lighter katana wielding kind of guy. So he is gonna get a little bit of food here and a little bit of medicine, and he's probably gonna hang out at this Tech Hunter way station for a little while. And basically be support for AJ for these next couple of runs. Because the next thing I'm going to run for is I'm going to try and get out into Skinner's Roam, which can be a little bit of a hike, and so I don't want him going out there with no sort of hope for rescue if we do find ourselves in a sticky situation. So essentially, Scratch is going to stay here. He's going to chill out at this table because his hunger rate will be reduced if he's sitting down. And I'm going to take AJ out and try and get some... there's a pair of abandoned Holy Nation mines out here. Oh, and I'm just realizing it, there are also... Well, they beat up the plastic surgeon, those jerks. There are some starving bandits that wandered into the way station and got and really got their butts kicked. So we're gonna grab a little bit of loot off them, and get a little bit of cats, to offset the fact that we just hired a new person and spent a bunch of money on food. What was I saying before I had to talk about Scratch? Oh yeah, the sort of diversity in the channel's content. This isn't going to replace any of the other content I do. This isn't going to just become a gaming channel. I just wanted to try and create something that was a little longer format, so that I can keep producing like a good amount of content for you guys, just because the more structured videos just obviously take more time to do, and I still am really enjoying doing them, and they're not gonna stop. I just I've haven't created content in the last couple of weeks just because I've been busy with my day job, and it's hard to get done with that and just come back and just keep working and keep writing. So hopefully you guys like this. This glitch drives me nuts. They're sitting there, right there on the ground, and it's saying I'm out of training range. It's so frustrating. I think I'll eventually just pick up the bodies, and I'll cut out the frustrating bit. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. If this isn't as much fun as the lore videos and you guys don't really like it, feel free to let me know in the comments and let me know this isn't it. Everything is kind of an experience, or not an experience, an experiment. See, this is why everything else is so scripted, because I don't know how to talk. So, okay, Scratch is gonna sit there, and we're gonna go and start making our way through Skinner's Roam. We're gonna get a ways out there, and we're gonna run into and we're just gonna skip to it. We're gonna run into I don't know what you call it, one of these sort of nests of bone dogs. I don't feel like you call what dogs live in a nest, but I don't know what word to say for it. Now these typically have some fairly nice um, begin of the game weapons, if you can get over to them, we obviously can't fight that many bone dogs, so we're gonna try and sneak in. We don't have a lot of stealth stats, so it's gonna be a gamble here. But I really want that pole arm, because having so the nice thing about pole arms is that they have a lot of reach and they're high speed weapons, and so they can be really disruptive for enemy attacks. Kind of like a best defense is a good quick offense. So I really want that pole arm because I want to equip somebody with that. So we're gonna gamble and hope that these bone dogs don't wake up and just absolutely murder us. Uh, we're pretty quick, so I feel we're pretty lightweight, so I feel like we could outrun them if we need to. But I think we're just gonna get away with this. I think they're just gonna keep sleeping. Anyway, this is almost a half an hour long, so I'm going to end it there. Uh, I'll catch you guys next time.